2. From eco-anxiety to eco-involvement, emotional side. 2.1. Where do we come from? Theory behind eco-anxiety and solastalgia. It is important to recognize that emotional and psychological factors can play a significant role in shaping individuals' responses to climate change. Eco-anxiety, for example, is a term used to describe the feelings of fear, worry, and anxiety that some people experience in response to environmental problems like climate change, habitat destruction, or pollution. It is a relatively new concept, and it is not yet recognized as a formal mental health disorder by most psychiatric organizations. However, it is a growing concern for many people around the world, as the impacts of environmental problems become increasingly apparent. Some experts believe that eco-anxiety may be related to other anxiety disorders, such as generalized anxiety disorder or post-traumatic stress disorder. There is another similar concept called solastalgia, a term coined by Australian philosopher Glenn Albrecht in 2003, to describe the emotional and psychological pain people experience when faced with negative environmental changes in their home or natural environment. It refers specifically to the distress a person feels when their environment is degrading, changing, or disappearing. Eco-anxiety and solastalgia are similar in that they both involve feelings of fear, worry, and anxiety in response to environmental problems or change. However, there are some key differences between the two concepts. Eco-anxiety is typically triggered by broader environmental concerns, such as climate change or habitat destruction. It tends to be more global in nature, involving a sense of worry or fear about the state of the environment as a whole, whereas solastalgia is more specifically related to environmental changes that affect the place where an individual lives, or is emotionally connected to, involving a sense of homesickness or attachment to a specific place. The symptoms of eco-anxiety and solastalgia can be similar, including difficulty sleeping or concentrating, irritability, and feelings of hopelessness and despair. However, solastalgia can also involve a sense of disconnection from one's community and a loss of identity. Eco-anxiety and solastalgia are relatively new concepts, and as such, there is not yet a well-established theory or framework for understanding these conditions. They are complex conditions that may be influenced by a combination of psychological, social, and environmental factors. However, there are a number of factors that may contribute to their development. One factor may be a sense of powerlessness. Many people who experience these conditions report feeling a sense of powerlessness or helplessness in the face of environmental problems or change. This can lead to feelings of anxiety, as individuals may feel that they are unable to do anything to address the issues that are causing their concern. They may also be driven by a sense of lack of control over one's environment. For example, individuals may feel that they are unable to protect their communities or places of emotional connection from environmental threats. Eco-anxiety and solastalgia may also be fueled by a fear of the future, particularly in relation to the potential impacts of environmental problems on people's lives and communities. This can lead to feelings of uncertainty, worry, and anxiety. In some cases, these conditions may be related to past trauma, such as experiences of natural disasters or other environmental crises. These events can leave individuals with long-lasting emotional and psychological effects, including feelings of anxiety and distress. As the phenomenon of these conditions is quite recent and complex, further research is needed to better understand them and to develop effective strategies for managing and reducing them. Emotional roots of climate change-related distress and inaction. Following with the previous reflections, there are other emotional and psychological factors that can contribute to climate change-related inaction or engagement with the issue. Some individuals may be in denial about the existence or severity of climate change, or can find themselves emotionally uncomfortable discussing or thinking about it, which may lead to a desire to avoid the issue. Climate change can be a controversial and divisive issue, therefore, some people may avoid engaging with it, in order to avoid conflict or confrontation with others, or they might not find it as a priority issue. Moreover, the scale and complexity of climate change can be overwhelming, and this can lead to feelings of anxiety, hopelessness, or helplessness, which can in turn cause a lack of action. Understanding these factors can help us to better understand why some people may be resistant to taking action on the issue, and to develop strategies for addressing these challenges. If someone is experiencing these symptoms, it is important to remember that they are not alone, and that there are steps they can take to manage their feelings and reduce anxiety that we will share in the next chapters. Psychological barriers to climate change mitigation and adaptation. Limited cognition. Ancient brain, our brains evolved to deal with immediate issues, not distant ones. Ignorance, not knowing that there is a climate problem or not knowing what to do about it. Environmental numbness, being unaware of issues that are not causing us immediate discomfort or being habituated to climate messages, due to hearing them too often. Judgmental discounting, undervaluing distant or future risks, leading to less motivation to act on climate change now. Optimum bias, the tendency to discount personal risks, leading to underestimates of how badly they themselves will be impacted. Perceived behavioral control or self-efficacy, feelings of powerlessness over influencing the outcome of climate change, sometimes leading to a defeatist approach. Ideologies. Worldviews, a belief in free enterprise capitalism predicts disbelief in climate change. Superhuman powers, belief that a religious deity, or Mother Nature as a secular deity, will either not forsake them, or will do as they please either way. Technosalvation, a belief that technology alone can save us from climate change. System justification, the tendency to defend and justify the status quo of society, particularly when individuals have a comfortable lifestyle which they are unwilling to compromise on. Comparison with others. Social comparison, taking the lead from the actions of others and determining what course of action to take on climate change. Social norms and networks, norms can be a reason to consume more. Knowing what the norm is for your social group tends to lead to behavioral adjustments to fit that norm. Perceived inequality, unwillingness to change if others are perceived as not changing. Sunk costs. Financial investments, once a person is invested in something, dispensing with it becomes harder than if the investment was never made, car ownership being a good example. Behavioral momentum, habitual behaviors are extremely resistant to permanent change and changing them often takes a long time. Conflicting values, goals, and aspirations. Pro-environmental values can be incompatible with other personal values and goals, if in competition with each other. Place attachment, people care more about places they have attachment to, than places they don't, being an obstacle to pro-environmental behavior. Discredence. Mistrust, when inaccurate climate messages are broadcast, by citizens, scientists or government officials, trust is weakened and behavior change less likely. Perceived program inadequacy, most pro-climate policies so far involve voluntary participation, few being mandatory or resulting in sanctions, so citizens can often decide that the program is not good enough for their participation. Active denial, it can occur as a result of uncertainty, mistrust, and sunk costs. Reactance, many individuals distrust scientists or government officials, and react strongly against advice or policies which are perceived to threaten their freedom. Perceived risks. Functional, uncertainty over whether the new technology being adopted will work, e.g., uncertainty over the battery capacity of electric vehicles. Physical, concern whether the new green technology is as safe as the previously used. Financial, many green solutions require capital outlays, so there can be concerns over how long it takes to pay back or whether that investment will be beneficial long term. Social, perceived negative judgment by friends and colleagues, e.g., will I be mocked for buying an electric vehicle? Psychological, if mocking for choices does occur, then this could harm self-esteem and confidence. Temporal, the time spent planning and adopting the new course of action might not produce the desired results. Limited behavior. Tokenism, some climate behaviors are easier to adopt than others, but have little impact on greenhouse gas emissions, yet it is these easier actions that tend to be chosen over higher cost, but more effective ones. The rebound effect, after some mitigating effort is made, the gains tend to be diminished by subsequent actions, e.g., buying a more fuel-efficient vehicle might result in driving further than they did in the less efficient vehicle. Crucial studies on climate change impacts, despite usually not focusing on mental health, often identify communities that are more at risk of having mental health issues related to climate change. These studies suggest that vulnerability is contextual and therefore differentially distributed across and between communities and individuals. 2.2. Where are we now? Reasons why young people are paralyzed, numb, or chose to be active in the climate action movement. Climate change-related distress among youth in Europe. Climate anxiety is gaining attention across the world, as more people become increasingly aware of the current and future global threats and dangers associated with the warming planet. The climate crisis has important long-term implications for physical and mental health as a result of acute and chronic environmental changes. According to a survey conducted by the European Commission in 2020, climate change is a major concern for young people in Europe. Almost two-thirds, 62% of young Europeans aged 16-24 consider climate change to be the most serious problem facing the world today. There is also evidence to suggest that young people in Europe are taking action to address climate change. A survey conducted by the European Youth Forum in 2019 found that nearly half, 47% of young people in Europe had taken some form of action on climate change in the previous year, such as participating in a protest, signing a petition, or changing their own behavior to reduce their carbon footprint. There are likely to be a variety of factors that contribute to youth climate action or inaction in Europe, including their level of awareness and understanding of the issue, their feelings about their own ability to make a difference, and the availability of resources and support for climate action. Some young people may also be influenced by the attitudes and behaviors of their families, friends, or communities, and by the policies and programs in place to support climate action at the local, regional, and national levels. Dissatisfaction with government responses are widespread among children and young people across the world and impact their daily functioning. A perceived failure by adults and governments to respond to the climate crisis is associated with increased distress, and sometimes inaction or action. Although painful and distressing, climate anxiety is rational and does not imply mental illness, it just alerts us to danger, which can cause us to search for more information about the situation and find potential solutions and reactions. In threatening and uncertain situations, this response can be seen as what is sometimes referred to as practical anxiety, because it has the beneficial effect of leading people to reassess their behavior to respond appropriately. There has been a significant increase in youth engagement with climate action in recent years, with many young people around the world becoming more vocal and active in demanding action on climate change. In many countries, young people have organized school strikes, walkouts, community cleanup, environmental campaigns, lobbying efforts, taking personal actions to reduce their carbon footprint, and other demonstrations to draw attention to the urgent need for action on climate change. The following are some of the reasons why young people chose to be active in the climate action movement. First of all, they are acutely aware that climate change poses a significant threat to their future. They are deeply concerned about the potential consequences of a warming planet, including extreme weather events and food and water shortages. Many young people also feel a sense of urgency about the need to address climate change. They believe that action needs to be taken now, in order to prevent catastrophic climate impacts and protect the planet for future generations. On the other hand, they decide to act, since they are frustrated with the slow pace of action from governments and other decision makers. They are taking matters into their own hands in order to push for change. Other reasons are because many young people have a deep passion for the natural world and are motivated to protect it, and because they consider it to be a social justice issue, recognizing that the impacts of climate change will disproportionately affect marginalized communities. Young people are a powerful force for change and are driving momentum towards a more sustainable and just future. However, because the climate crisis is so complex and lacks a clear solution, anxiety can easily become too intense and even overwhelming, refraining youth's actions. Among the most common reasons why young people do not act against climate change, we find that some young people may not be fully aware of the severity of the climate crisis and the urgency of the situation, or they lack information, not having access to accurate and up-to-date information about it. This can make it difficult for them to understand why action is necessary and what steps they can take to address the issue. On the other hand, climate change is just one of many issues that impact young people today, and some may feel that they have more pressing concerns to address, such as economic or social issues. Additionally, some young people may feel that political institutions are not effective in addressing climate change, and may be skeptical of the ability of governments to make meaningful change, which can lead to a sense of disillusionment and a lack of motivation to take action. Moreover, climate change can seem like an overwhelming problem, and some young people may feel helpless or powerless to make a difference, creating a sense of resignation or apathy towards the issue. It is important to address these barriers to action and to provide young people with the information, resources, and support they need to take action against climate change. For example, we can provide accurate and up-to-date information about climate change, offer opportunities for engagement and activism, and highlight the positive impact that individual actions can have on the environment. 2.3. Where are we heading? It is important to recognize that climate change is a complex and multifaceted issue, and that there are likely to be many different factors influencing young people's responses to it. Understanding these factors can help us to develop more effective strategies for supporting youth climate action and addressing the challenges of climate change. We can rely on strategies that help manage our emotions, such as practicing relaxation techniques, seeking support from friends and loved ones, finding ways to get involved in environmental causes, etc. Since there is a growing recognition of the need for trauma-informed approaches to addressing the psychological impacts of climate change, we may provide support and resources for the individuals affected undertaking various kinds of activities. Climate change-related trauma healing. As the impacts of climate change become more apparent, it is likely that more and more people will experience climate change-related trauma, anxiety, or distress. It is important to address these negative feelings to help people have good mental health, but also since it can lead to inaction or even rejection of the issue. This way, we can facilitate joining forces against climate change. To handle these challenges, there is a growing need for approaches to climate change-related trauma healing, emotional management, self-care, and communication that need to be tailored to the specific needs of individuals and communities. In this chapter, we will share some strategies that may be helpful in these contexts. Addressing climate change-related trauma and promoting healing requires a multifaceted approach on emotional, psychological, and social aspects. The first step is to acknowledge and validate the experiences and emotions of those who have been impacted by climate change-related trauma. It helps to build a sense of community and support and reduce feelings of isolation or helplessness. Then, it is important to educate individuals and communities about the impacts of climate change and its potential psychological effects. This will help reduce stigma, promote understanding, and empower individuals to take action and advocate for solutions. An important strategy is to build strong and resilient communities, since they can help promote healing by creating safe and supportive spaces for individuals to connect, share experiences, and build relationships. Another approach could be encouraging individuals to engage in self-care and coping strategies to reduce stress and promote resilience, like mindfulness, meditation, exercise, and spending time in nature. Ultimately, addressing the root causes of climate change and promoting sustainable and equitable solutions is the most effective way to reduce the impacts of climate change-related trauma. People can advocate for policy change, support renewable energy development, and promote sustainable lifestyles among their communities. By promoting healing and resilience, individuals and communities can better navigate the challenges of a changing climate and work towards a more sustainable future. Emotional management in the climate change context. Emotional management is an important skill for all individuals and communities, in general, but also in the context of climate change, which can evoke fear, anxiety, anger, grief, despair, etc. The following are some advice and ideas to strengthen our emotional management skills in relation to climate change. Firstly, we could develop self-awareness, which implies paying attention to our own emotions and recognizing when we feel overwhelmed or triggered by climate change-related news or events. By recognizing these triggers, individuals can take steps to manage their emotional response, such as limiting exposure to triggering content. In order to obtain a sense of connection and support during difficult times, we can build strong relationships with friends, family, or community members. It reduces feelings of isolation and promotes emotional resilience. Another strategy is to take action on climate change, which can reduce feelings of helplessness and promote a sense of agency and empowerment. Individuals can take action by reducing personal carbon footprint or advocating for policy change and collective actions, such as participating in protests or joining a local climate organization. Other ways of enriching our emotional skills are practicing mindfulness, meditation, deep breathing, or yoga. These practices reduce stress and promote emotional regulation. For some individuals, climate change-related emotions can become overwhelming or debilitating, and they might need to seek professional help from a mental health provider. Self-care and earth care. Self-care and earth care are interconnected because taking care of oneself can promote a sense of connection to the natural world, and helps maintain energy and motivation to better care for the planet. We can encourage young people to practice mindfulness and spend time in nature, so that they feel more connected to the natural world and achieve better well-being. In turn, this can inspire individuals to take actions and care for the environment, by reducing their carbon footprint or advocating for policy change, for example. Taking care of oneself. Self-care can serve young people to manage any sign of eco-anxiety, stress or other emotional responses to climate change, and maintain emotional resilience. Under these circumstances, it will be easier for young people to continue to take actions to care for the environment. Prioritizing rest and relaxation is an important aspect of self-care. We can encourage young people to take breaks from social media or news about climate change, and spend time engaging in activities that promote well-being. This way, they can maintain their energy and motivation to activate themselves and take environmental care actions. We can also support young people to cultivate a sense of compassion for oneself and others, since this eventually leads to a greater sense of empathy and concern for the well-being of the planet and all living beings, inspiring individuals to take environmental actions. Communication. Effective communication is crucial for building understanding, trust, and support about climate change issues, as it facilitates engaging with others through discussions, social media, or educational programs. It is an essential tool for taking action against climate change and caring for the environment, since it allows raising awareness about what is happening and its implications. By communicating the impacts of climate change and the importance of sustainability, youth workers and organizations can help inspire action and promote change among youngsters and other members of the community. Another significant value of communication is that it enables building consensus and fostering collaboration. When different and diverse stakeholders come together and engage in an open dialogue, individuals and organizations can work together to identify common goals and develop effective solutions. In order to foster change in behaviors and promote sustainable actions, we need to use communication strategies to share the benefits of sustainable practices, educate and offer resources to young individuals. So, it is crucial to master and improve this skill. Lastly, as we expect to hold leaders accountable for their actions and decisions on climate change and environmental issues, we can prepare for communicating with elected officials and other leaders, and advocate for policy change. 2.4. How do we work on those topics with youth? Youth workers' treasure chest: informal and non-formal educational practical methods of work. Trauma healing. We have collected several practical examples and informal educational methods that can be used by youth workers and educators to address the psychological impacts of climate change and support trauma healing from individuals during their work. For example, we could use storytelling activities. Sharing stories about experiences of climate change-related trauma can be a powerful way to enable discharge, connect with others, build understanding and empathy, and facilitate healing. One storytelling activity that could last around 2 hours is a storytelling circle, where participants take turns telling stories around a central theme. 1. Find a comfortable and quiet space where participants can sit in a circle. We can also set the ambience by dimming the lights or using candles or other decorative elements. 2. Choose a theme for the storytelling circle, such as family traditions, adventures in nature, or turning points. Participants can suggest themes themselves and vote on the final choice. 3. Begin the activity with a grounding exercise, such as a brief meditation or deep breathing, to help participants connect with themselves and the group. 4. Start the storytelling circle by inviting the first participant to share a story related to the chosen theme. Allow each participant to share their story uninterrupted for 5 minutes. Encourage active listening and engagement from the other participants. 5. After each participant shares their story, invite the group to reflect on what they heard. Ask questions such as, "What stood out to you about this story?" or "What did you learn from this story?" 6. Once everyone has had a chance to share their story, open up the discussion to the group. Ask questions such as, "What patterns or themes did you notice in the stories?" or "How did this experience change your perspective on the chosen theme?" 7. End the activity with a closing ritual, such as a group song or closing meditation. Allow participants to share any final thoughts or feelings they have about the storytelling circle. We can also use during our youth work art therapy activities, which are helpful for individuals to process and express their emotions related to climate change. This can involve creating art or participating in art-based activities, such as drawing, painting, or sculpting. An example of an art therapy activity about climate change that we could use could be creating climate change mandalas. It provides a safe and supportive environment for participants to express themselves and to connect with others who share their concerns about the environment. 1. Find a quiet and comfortable space with ample art supplies, including paper, markers, paint, colored pencils, or any other materials that participants might enjoy. 2. Begin the activity by introducing the concept of mandalas and how they can be used as a tool for self-expression and reflection. Explain that the mandala will serve as a canvas for exploring feelings and thoughts about climate change. 3. We might guide the creation of the mandala by asking participants to think about the impact of climate change on their community, or to reflect on a personal experience related to climate change. Encourage them to think deeply about what triggers them and to use the mandala as a way of processing their emotions and thoughts. 4. We can invite participants to create their mandalas. Encourage them to use colors, shapes, and symbols that resonate with them and to experiment with different materials and techniques. 5. After participants have completed their mandalas, invite them to reflect on their work. Ask questions such as, what emotions did you experience while creating this mandala? Or, what does this mandala say about your relationship with climate change? 6. Once everyone has had a chance to reflect on their mandalas, we can invite participants to share their work with the group. We must ensure active listening and empathy from all participants, and create a safe and supportive environment for sharing. 7. End the activity with a closing ritual, such as a group meditation or a moment of silence to honor the earth and its ecosystems. Another informal educational method we can carry out during our youth work are nature-based activities, such as hiking, gardening, or spending time in nature. Being in nature can have a calming and healing effect on the mind and body, and it can be definitely useful for addressing climate change-related trauma. One nature-based activity to work on climate change is a nature walk and journaling activity, which consists of taking a walk in nature, observing the environment and reflecting on the impact of climate change. This activity can be adapted to different age groups, settings. It can be done as a solo activity or in groups, and in different natural environments, such as forests, beaches, or mountains. Materials needed: comfortable walking shoes, journal or notebook, pen or pencil. Instructions: start by choosing a location to take a nature walk, a park, trail, nature reserve, etc. It is best to choose a location that has a variety of natural features, such as trees, plants, water bodies, and wildlife. Before starting the walk, encourage participants to take a few deep breaths and set an intention for the activity. This could be something like, I want to connect with nature and reflect on the impact of climate change. As they walk, they can take notice of the natural environment around themselves. Observe the different plants, animals, and landscapes, and pay attention to how they are changing over time. Participants should use all their senses to tune into the environment. What do they see, hear, smell, and feel? Whenever they come across something that interests them, they should stop and take a moment to observe it more closely. They can take photos, make a sketch, or take notes in a journal prepared to document their observations. As participants walk, they can reflect on the impact of climate change on the natural environment, considering questions like, how is the environment changing? What are the causes and effects of climate change? How do I feel about the impact of climate change on nature? What can I do to make a positive impact on the environment? After the walk, participants will find a quiet spot to sit, write in the journal any insights or ideas that came up during the walk, and reflect on their observations and thoughts. They can also take a moment to thank nature for the opportunity to connect and reflect. Finally, we can carry out group activities as educational methods to support climate change trauma healing, as it helps individuals to connect with others who have experienced similar challenges and to process and heal together. As an example of group therapy activity to work on climate change, we have selected the practical example of the climate change collage activity. This activity involves creating collages with images and words that represent different aspects of climate change. This activity can be adapted to different group settings and can be modified to include other creative elements, such as music, poetry, or drama. It encourages participants to express themselves and to work together. Materials needed: Magazines or newspapers with pictures and words. Scissors. Glue sticks. Large sheets of paper or cardboard. Markers or pens. Instructions. Start by introducing the topic of climate change and explaining the purpose of the activity. Explain that creating collages can help to express feelings and ideas, and can be a way to raise awareness and inspire action. Give each participant a large sheet of paper or cardboard and a pair of scissors. Ask them to cut out images and words from the magazines or newspapers that represent different aspects of climate change: extreme weather, melting ice caps, pollution, renewable energy, etc. Once participants have collected enough images and words, ask them to arrange them on their sheet of paper or cardboard to create a collage. Encourage them to be creative and expressive, and to think about how the different elements of the collage relate to each other and to climate change. After participants have finished their collages, ask them to share their work with the group. You can do this by having each participant explain their collage, or by having a group discussion about the different themes and messages that emerged from the collages. Conclude the activity by reflecting on the experience and discussing ways to take action on climate change. Ask participants to share any insights or ideas that came up during the activity, and to think about how they can apply these insights to their daily lives. Emotional management. In this chapter, we have gathered several practical examples and informal educational strategies, and activities that can be used by youth workers and educators to strengthen the emotional management skills of youngsters to overcome climate change anxiety. Practical activities to help individuals to manage their emotions and reduce stress are mindfulness and meditation activities, which can include deep breathing, body scan meditation, or mindful walking. One mindfulness activity to work on climate change with young people could be a nature meditation and reflection session, which consists of practicing mindfulness techniques in nature and reflecting on the interconnectedness between oneself and the environment. It encourages a sense of responsibility and empowers them to make positive changes in their lives to address climate change. Materials needed: outdoor space in nature, park, garden, forest, etc. Yoga mats or blankets for sitting. Mindfulness bells or chimes. Instructions. Find a suitable and peaceful outdoor location that allows for quiet contemplation, where participants can comfortably sit or lie down on their yoga mats or blankets. Gather the group and briefly introduce the concept of mindfulness, which helps cultivate a deeper awareness and foster inspiring sustainable actions. Guide participants through a grounding exercise to arrive fully in the present moment, with deep breathing, body scans, or a brief guided meditation to calm the mind. Encourage participants to engage their senses by noticing the sounds, scents, textures, and visuals. Guide them to observe details, big and small, that they may not typically notice. Lead a guided meditation on nature and the environment, with visualizations imagining oneself as a tree or flowing river, or directing attention to the present natural elements. Allow for silent reflection time, encouraging participants to observe their thoughts and emotions, and to deepen their connection with the natural world. Invite participants to share their insights if they feel comfortable. Facilitate a group discussion on the interconnectedness between personal well-being and the planet's health. Close the session with gratitude practice towards nature and commitment to taking positive actions to protect it in their daily lives. Use mindfulness bells or chimes to end the activity. Other practical activities to improve young people's emotional management skills can be journaling activities. Writing about one's thoughts and feelings, keeping a journal, writing letters, engaging in creative writing, etc. can be a helpful way to process and understand one's emotions related to climate change. One journaling activity to work on climate change with young people could be a climate change reflection journal, which entails following guided journaling propositions that encourage self-reflection, exploration of emotions, and generate ideas for positive action. This activity provides a structured and introspective approach for young people to explore their thoughts, emotions, and ideas about climate change. It promotes personal connection, self-awareness, and empowers them to consider meaningful actions they can take to address climate change in their own lives. Materials needed: journals or notebooks for each participant. Pens or pencils. Art supplies, markers, colored pencils for creative expression. Instructions. Gather the group and explain the purpose of the journal. Emphasize that it can be a powerful tool for self-expression, reflection, and exploring ideas related to climate change. Provide each participant with a journal or notebook and pens or pencils. Explain that they will be given a series of indications and proposals to respond to in their journals. Introduce the first proposal: what does climate change mean to you? Encourage participants to reflect on their understanding of its causes, impacts, and potential solutions. Give them a few minutes to write their responses in their journals. Then, introduce additional proposals that delve deeper into different aspects of climate change. For example, how does climate change make you feel? What are your concerns about climate change? What positive actions can you take to address climate change? How can you inspire others to take action? What changes would you like to see in your community to combat climate change? How can you make a difference in your daily life to reduce your carbon footprint? What role can creativity and art play in raising awareness about climate change? Allow sufficient time for participants to write their thoughts and reflections in response to each prompt. After completing these questions, encourage participants to take a moment to review their journal entries and identify any common themes or significant insights. Invite participants to share their reflections with the group. This can be done in pairs, small groups, or as a whole group discussion, depending on the size and dynamics of the group. If desired, offer an opportunity for creative expression. Participants can use art supplies to create visual representations or drawings that capture their thoughts and emotions. Close the activity by inviting participants to write a personal commitment or action plan in their journals. Ask them to consider specific actions they can take to make a positive impact. Encourage participants to continue using their journals for ongoing reflection and to revisit their entries, as a source of inspiration and motivation. We can also carry out other practical activities to improve young people's emotional and mental health with nature-based activities. Engaging in activities in nature, such as hiking, gardening, or birdwatching, can have a calming and grounding effect on the mind and can help empower individuals. So, here we share a practical nature-based activity to improve young people's emotional management skills, the Nature's Wisdom Walk. It allows young people to engage in active observation, connect with the wisdom of nature, and reflect on how they can apply these lessons to their own emotional world. It also encourages a deeper appreciation for the natural world and its ability to inspire and support our well-being. Materials needed: outdoor space in nature, park, forest, garden, etc. Comfortable walking shoes. Optional, journals or notebooks for reflection. Optional, nature identification guides or resources. Instructions. Gather the group in the designated outdoor space and explain that this activity will involve a mindful walk in nature, to observe and reflect on the wisdom and lessons that nature can offer for our emotional management. Encourage participants to wear comfortable walking shoes and dress appropriately for the weather. Emphasize the importance of being present and observant during the walk. Start the walk and invite participants to walk silently for the first few minutes, focusing on their breathing and the sounds and sensations of nature around them. As the walk progresses, introduce thought-provoking guidelines to their observations. Some examples include: what emotions arise as you walk in nature? How does the natural environment impact your emotional state? Observe the resilience of trees, plants, and other natural elements. How can you apply their resilience to your own emotional challenges? Notice how nature embraces change and adapts. How can you apply this lesson to managing your own emotions and navigating life's uncertainties? Pay attention to the interconnectedness and harmony in nature. How can you foster a sense of balance and harmony in your own emotional well-being? Encourage participants to take their time, explore different areas of the outdoor space, and observe the details. Remind them to engage all their senses and be present in the moment. Encourage participants to find a spot in nature that resonates with them and spend a few moments in quiet reflection. If participants have journals or notebooks, invite them to sit and write down their reflections on the guidelines or any thoughts and emotions that arise during the walk. Alternatively, they can simply engage in mindful reflection without writing. After the reflection time, gather the group and provide an opportunity for participants to share their observations and insights if they feel comfortable doing so. Foster a supportive and non-judgmental atmosphere for open discussion. Facilitate a group discussion on the lessons and wisdom that nature can teach us about emotional management. Conclude the activity by inviting participants to reflect on how they can apply the lessons from nature to their own emotional management. Encourage them to identify one actionable step they can take based on their reflections. Connecting with others who are experiencing similar challenges can be a helpful way to manage emotions and build resilience. That is why support group activities can be a useful tool for youth workers to work on emotional issues with young people. The next is a practical support group activity to improve young people's emotional management skills called Emotional Check-in Circle. It creates a space for young people to openly express their emotions, share experiences, and gain support in managing their emotions. It fosters a sense of community, empathy, and shared learning. Materials needed: comfortable seating arrangement in a circle. Whiteboard or flip chart paper with markers, optional. Small slips of paper and pens for writing, optional. Instructions: set up the seating arrangement in a circle, ensuring that all participants can see and hear each other comfortably. If desired, place a whiteboard or flip chart paper in the center. Explain the purpose of the emotional check-in circle. Emphasize that it is a safe and supportive space for participants to share their emotions and experiences related to climate change. Introduce the concept of emotional check-ins and explain that each participant will have an opportunity to share their current emotional state and any challenges or successes they have experienced about the topic. Start with a brief grounding exercise to help participants become present in the moment and create a sense of connection. It could be a guided relaxation activity. Begin the check-in process by inviting the first participant to share their emotional state using 1 or 2 words, "I'm feeling calm" or "I'm feeling anxious." Encourage them to elaborate on their emotional state if they feel comfortable doing so. Encourage active listening and support among participants as each person shares. Remind them to respect each other's experiences, maintain confidentiality, and refrain from judgment or advice giving. Pass a small object, such as a talking stick, to the next participant in the circle, to indicate that it is their turn to share. Each participant should have an uninterrupted opportunity to express their emotional state and share any challenges or successes of their lives. Use the whiteboard or flip chart paper to note down common emotions or challenges that arise during the check-in process, to facilitate group discussion and provide a visual representation of the shared experiences. After each participant has had a chance to share, facilitate a group discussion to reflect on common themes, share strategies or techniques that have worked for them in managing their emotions, and provide support and encouragement to one another. Conclude the activity by summarizing the main insights and takeaways from the check-in circle. Invite participants to reflect on what they have learned. Optional, offer a closing ritual, such as a gratitude circle or a brief relaxation exercise, to provide a sense of closure and unity among the participants. Self-care. In this section, we have gathered several practical examples and informal educational strategies, and activities that can be used by youth workers and educators to promote young people's self-care. There are many options for a self-care routine, including regular physical activity, joining a gym, going for a walk or run, or participating in a fitness class, or taking breaks and getting sufficient sleep. These activities can help reduce stress and improve concentration. The next is an activity that combines physical exercise and self-care for young people. It is called Mindful Movement Retreat, and it promotes the holistic well-being of the participants by focusing on both their physical health and emotional well-being. Materials needed: open space for physical activity, a park, gymnasium, outdoor field, etc. Yoga mats or towels. Comfortable clothing suitable for movement. Water bottles. Mindfulness or relaxation music. Instructions: find a suitable location with enough space for physical activities such as a park or gymnasium. Gather the group of young people and explain that this activity will focus on combining physical exercise with self-care. Begin with a brief introduction to the benefits of physical exercise for both the body and mind. Discuss how physical activity can help reduce stress, improve mood, and promote overall well-being. Start with a warm-up session to prepare the body for exercise. This can include light stretching, jogging in place, or simple cardio exercises. Introduce self-care elements into the activity. Encourage them to stay present in the moment, focus on their breathing and pay attention to how their body feels. Guide the group through a series of physical exercises that promote strength, flexibility, and cardiovascular fitness. This can include yoga poses, bodyweight exercises, group games, or any other form of physical activity that suits the group's preferences and abilities. Incorporate moments of self-care and relaxation throughout the activity. Between sets or exercises, invite participants to sit or lie down on their yoga mats and engage in a brief guided relaxation or breathing exercise. Play soothing music in the background if desired. Encourage participants to listen to their bodies and modify the exercises as needed. Emphasize the importance of self-care and not pushing beyond their limits. Provide water breaks throughout the activity to ensure participants stay hydrated. Towards the end of the session, gradually transition into a cool-down period. This can involve slower movements, stretching exercises, or gentle yoga poses to help the body cool down and relax. Allow time for participants to reflect and share their experiences. Discuss how the combination of physical exercise affects their mental and emotional well-being. Conclude the activity by reminding participants of the importance of regular physical exercise and self-care in their daily lives. Encourage them to find ways to incorporate these practices into their routines. Provide resources or suggestions for additional self-care practices that they can explore outside of the session, such as meditation apps or relaxation techniques. Another practical exercise to boost our self-care and help manage stress related to climate change is to carry out activities that promote rest and sleep. They can help us prioritize and maintain a consistent sleep schedule and regular breaks to ensure adequate rest, relax and recharge. Now, we will explain how to carry out the activity Sleep Wellness Workshop, which aims to educate young people about the significance of getting sufficient sleep for their well-being. It provides them with practical strategies for improving their sleep habits, and emphasizes the importance of self-care in maintaining a healthy sleep routine. Materials needed: comfortable seating arrangements, relaxation props, example, blankets, pillows, eye masks, paper and writing utensils. Optional, sleep hygiene handouts or informational resources. Instructions: set up a comfortable and calming environment for the workshop. Explain the importance of sleep for overall well-being, physical health and emotional balance, and the connection between sleep and self-care. Facilitate a group discussion about participants' current sleep habits and challenges. Encourage them to share their experiences and any strategies they have tried in the past. Introduce the concept of sleep hygiene and explain its role in promoting healthy sleep patterns. Discuss key elements of sleep hygiene, establishing a regular sleep schedule, creating a relaxing sleep environment and practicing bedtime routines, such as taking a warm bath, reading a book and avoiding screens for at least an hour before bedtime and caffeine and alcohol. Lead participants through a guided relaxation exercise to help them experience a sense of calm and relaxation. It can include deep breathing exercises, progressive muscle relaxation, or a guided imagery exercise focused on sleep. Discuss strategies and tips for creating a sleep-friendly environment, keeping the bedroom cool and dark, and using relaxation techniques to unwind before sleep. Invite participants to reflect on their own sleep habits and identify areas for improvement. Provide paper and writing utensils for them to jot down their thoughts and ideas. Divide participants into small groups and assign each group a specific aspect of sleep hygiene to discuss and brainstorm practical strategies. Encourage open discussion and exchange of tips. Provide handouts or informational resources on sleep hygiene that participants can take home for reference. Conclude the workshop by inviting participants to share their personal commitments to improving their sleep habits and practicing self-care. Engaging in hobbies and creative outlets can be useful to work with young people and foster self-care among them. These activities can be painting, playing a musical instrument, writing, gardening, cooking, etc., and participants can experience therapeutic benefits. These creative activities pursue joy and fulfillment, and encourage self-expression, exploration, and enjoyment. The next activity is Creative Exploration Workshop, which promotes self-care and provides young people with an opportunity to engage in hobbies and creative outlets. The workshop fosters a supportive and non-judgmental environment that allows them to connect with their artistic side and find inspiration and fulfillment through their chosen creative outlets. Materials needed: art supplies, paper, paints, markers, colored pencils, brushes, etc. Crafting materials: clay, beads, yarn, fabric. Writing utensils: music or background ambience. Examples of different creative projects or crafts. Instructions: set up a designated space for the workshop with tables, chairs, and art supplies. Explain to participants that they will be exploring hobbies as a form of self-care. Discuss the importance of hobbies and creative expression in fostering self-care and having a positive impact on well-being. Showcase examples of what they can do, which can include painting, drawing, sculpting, crafting, writing, or any other creative activity that suits the interests of the group. Provide a range of art supplies and crafting materials for participants to choose from. Encourage them to explore different mediums and techniques. Set aside dedicated time for participants to engage in their chosen creative activity. Play soft music or provide a calming ambience to create a relaxed and inspiring atmosphere. Emphasize that there are no right or wrong ways to express creativity and encourage participants to let go of any judgment or self-criticism. Ask participants to share how engaging in their creative activity made them feel and what they learned from the experience. Discuss ways to incorporate hobbies and creative outlets into daily life as a means of self-care. Brainstorm ideas for finding time and space for creative expression. Remember, taking breaks from the news and social media is an important aspect of self-care and essential for maintaining mental and emotional well-being in today's digital age. Being constantly exposed to negative news and comments, including those about climate change, can be overwhelming and stressful. Encourage young people to find a balance that allows them to stay informed, while also prioritizing their overall happiness. During our youth work, we can suggest to them some tips and activities to manage media consumption. Here, we share an activity that we can propose to young people to manage media consumption and promote self-care, a digital detox challenge. It is an opportunity to consciously disconnect from digital media and explore alternative activities that help promote self-care, regain focus, reduce stress, and engage in activities that nourish their well-being. This challenge encourages self-reflection, exploration, and the development of healthier media habits in the digital age. Duration, flexible, can be adapted to fit different time frames. Instructions: introduce the concept of digital detox and its importance for mental and emotional well-being. Explain that the activity involves taking a break from digital devices and media platforms for a set period of time. Discuss the benefits of disconnecting from technology, such as reducing stress, improving focus, enhancing relationships, and fostering self-care. Invite participants to voluntarily participate in the Digital Detox Challenge. Emphasize that it is an opportunity to explore alternative activities and focus on personal well-being. Set a time frame for the challenge that fits the participants' schedules and availability. It could be a few hours, a full day, a weekend, or even a week. Provide participants with guidelines and suggestions for the digital detox period. Turn off notifications on mobile devices or set them to silent mode. Avoid checking social media platforms, emails, or news websites. Limit or abstain from using digital devices for entertainment purposes. Instead, engage in activities that promote self-care and well-being. Share a list of alternative activities that participants can explore during the digital detox period. Spend time in nature, go for a walk, hike, or picnic. Engage in physical activities, exercise, dance, yoga, hiking, jogging. Connect with others, meet friends or relatives, have a conversation, play games, etc. Pursue creative hobbies, drawing, reading, gardening, playing music, etc. Read books or listen to audiobooks. Use guided meditation, mindfulness, or breathing exercises. Practice self-reflection, write down thoughts, gratitude lists, or set personal goals. Prepare a healthy meal, take a relaxing bath, or pamper oneself. Encourage participants to plan and schedule activities ahead of time to make the most of their digital detox period. If feasible, offer support and accountability by creating a shared platform, example, social media group, chat app where participants can share their experiences, challenges, and achievements during the digital detox. After the digital detox period, gather the group for a debriefing session. Encourage participants to reflect and share how the experience impacted their well-being and mood. Facilitate a discussion and encourage participants to identify specific actions they can take to manage their media consumption mindfully, and promote self-care going forward, like setting boundaries and time limits to social media or news. Engage with content that is positive and uplifting. Take breaks from social media or the news at regular intervals. Unfollowing or muting accounts that constantly post negative or triggering content. Provide resources or handouts with additional tips and information about these topics for participants to take home. Earth Care. This chapter will focus on how Earth Care informal educational strategies and activities can be used by youth workers and educators to help young people develop resilience and overcome eco-anxiety during their youth work. Earth Care activities offer young people an opportunity to engage actively with environmental issues, connect with nature, nurture a sense of empowerment, learn and build a supportive community. We present the activity Eco Explorers Cleanup Challenge, which engages young people in hands-on earth care by actively cleaning up and improving an outdoor area. The activity promotes environmental awareness, teamwork and personal responsibility, while instilling a sense of pride in taking care of the earth. Participants are encouraged to continue their commitment to earth care beyond the activity itself, by reflecting on the experience and discussing further actions. Instructions. Explain the purpose of the activity to the group, the importance of taking care of the environment and how their actions can make a positive impact. Select a nearby outdoor area that could benefit from a cleanup, a park, beach, trail or community garden. Ensure that necessary permissions and safety measures are in place. Provide participants with gloves, garbage bags, and any necessary tools for collecting and disposing of litter. Encourage them to wear appropriate clothing for the weather. Conduct a safety briefing before starting the cleanup, such as watching out for sharp objects, handling garbage properly, and avoiding hazardous materials. Divide participants into teams or pairs, depending on the size of the group and the area to be cleaned. Set a specific time limit for the cleanup challenge. Instruct participants to search for litter and debris within the designated area, collect it and sort the waste into appropriate categories: recyclables, non-recyclables, compostable items. Gather the participants together to reflect on the impact of their actions, discuss the waste collected and share their observations about the environmental consequences of littering. Encourage participants to share ideas on reducing waste, personal reflections on the cleanup experience. Express gratitude for the natural environment and discuss ways they can continue to promote earth care in their lives and communities. Conclude the activity by acknowledging and celebrating the participants' efforts in promoting earth care, and discuss and encourage participants to commit to ongoing efforts like reducing single-use plastics, recycling, participating in future environmental initiatives, etc. Here is another hands-on activity idea for young people to promote earth care and engage in bird conservation efforts. It is the Nest Box Building Workshop, which fosters teamwork, creativity, and a sense of environmental responsibility. By building and installing nest boxes, participants will create valuable nesting opportunities for cavity nesting birds, supporting their populations and promoting biodiversity. Instructions. Explain the purpose of the activity and the importance of providing nesting opportunities for birds and care for biodiversity. Discuss the benefits of nest boxes for cavity nesting birds. Discuss the different bird species in the area that use nest boxes for nesting. Research their nesting requirements, box size, entrance hole diameter and placement preferences. Show participants examples of different nest box designs and explain the basic construction principles. Divide participants into small groups and provide them with the necessary tools: wooden boards, screws, nails, hammers and safe and chemical-free materials. Guide them in constructing the nest boxes according to the chosen design, fostering teamwork, and offer assistance as needed to ensure the boxes are built correctly. Explain and discuss the importance of selecting suitable locations that offer protection from predators and elements. Demonstrate how to mount or hang the nest boxes securely. Discuss the importance of periodic cleaning and maintenance of the nest boxes, monitoring them and recording any bird activity observed. Motivate participants to keep a log of nest box usage, nesting attempts, successful broods, and any interesting behaviors observed. Conclude the activity by discussing follow-up actions, expanding the project by building additional nest boxes, assigning participants the task of designing and creating educational materials like brochures or pamphlets that provide information about the purpose of nest boxes, the targeted bird species, and instructions for proper installation and maintenance. Encourage participants to organize an outreach event, presenting information about nest boxes and their benefits, and distributing the educational materials made. We share the following additional example of an earth care activity for young people which fosters teamwork and data collection through a river clean-up. The River Clean-up Day activity raises awareness about the impact of pollution on aquatic ecosystems and fosters a sense of responsibility and connection to the natural environment. Instructions. Explain the purpose of the activity, highlighting the importance of keeping rivers clean and protecting aquatic ecosystems. Discuss the impact of pollution on rivers and the wildlife that depends on them. Research the local river's environmental conditions and specific pollution issues. Conduct a safety briefing before the cleanup activity, wearing gloves, appropriate footwear, sun protection, handling waste, and providing participants with trash bags and litter pickers. Consider areas with visible litter, debris, or pollutants, ensure that the area is safe, and divide participants into smaller groups, assigning each group a specific area. Instruct them to collect litter and to separate recyclable items from general waste. Prompt them to collect data on the types and quantities of waste they find, on data collection sheets or a mobile app, to record their findings. This data will contribute to understanding pollution patterns and help raise awareness about the issue. After the cleanup, reflect together on the experience, the impact of litter and pollution on the river ecosystem, and the importance of individual and collective actions. Ensure proper waste separation and disposal by coordinating with local authorities. Discuss with participants the importance of raising awareness about sustainable practices in daily life and motivate them to share their cleanup experience with others, creating social media posts, organizing community talks, or writing articles. Lastly, since trees play a crucial role in mitigating climate change, we can rely upon planting activities with young people during our youth work in order to actively contribute to reducing carbon emissions and improving air quality. A practical example of planting trees activity could be Growing a Greener Future, which aims to engage young people in planting trees and raise awareness about the importance of reforestation and environmental sustainability. Materials needed. A variety of native tree saplings suitable for your local climate and ecosystem. Shovels or gardening tools for each participant. Watering cans or buckets to give the newly planted trees a good initial watering. Gardening gloves to protect participants' hands while working. Markers and tags to personalize and attach to the trees. Note: it's important to obtain any necessary permissions or permits before conducting the tree planting activity, and to ensure compliance with local regulations and guidelines. Instructions. Gather the participants in a suitable outdoor location and make a brief introduction to the importance of trees in the ecosystem, their role in carbon sequestration, providing habitat, supporting biodiversity, and the positive impact of tree planting on the environment. Show the participants how to properly plant a tree, digging appropriate hole, placing the sapling and backfilling the hole with soil, while ensuring the tree is stable and upright. Divide the participants into smaller groups or pairs and assign them a specific area where they will plant their trees. Ensure they plant them properly. Invite participants to personalize their trees by attaching the markers or tags they prepared, with their names, positive messages, or any artwork related to environmental care. Finally, discuss participants' thoughts and feelings about the activity and the importance of watering and caring for the newly planted trees, and of their contribution to the environment. Conclude the activity by thanking the participants for their efforts and highlighting the positive impact they have made by planting trees, and prompt them to continue supporting and spreading awareness about the importance of environmental conservation. Communication. In this chapter, we will share informal educational methods and activities that can be used to develop communication skills and strategies, to advocate and attract attention, interest, and raise awareness about climate change issues. Remember to adapt these activities based on the age, interests, and preferences of the participants, and provide guidance and resources to support their learning and communication efforts. We should emphasize the importance of effective communication, creativity, and the ability to engage and inspire others. We can organize a debate or panel discussion, where participants can express different perspectives on climate change-related topics. This activity helps develop critical thinking, public speaking, and argumentation skills, while promoting dialogue and understanding. Instructions. Choose a climate change-related topic for the debate or panel discussion, such as renewable energy, sustainable agriculture, or climate policy. Formulate clear debate topics or questions related to the chosen theme. Ensure there are different perspectives represented. Invite participants to take part in the debate or panel discussion. This can include students, experts, community members, or representatives from relevant organizations. Provide participants with resources and time to research and prepare their arguments or viewpoints. Organize and moderate the debate or panel discussion, ensuring that all participants have the opportunity to express their opinions and engage in respectful dialogue. Encourage audience participation by allowing them to ask questions or provide feedback after the debate or panel discussion. We can encourage young people to share personal stories, poems, or spoken word performances related to climate change in a storytelling or poetry slam. This activity allows individuals to connect emotionally with the issue and develop creative communication skills to engage and inspire others. Instructions. Introduce the concept of storytelling or poetry slam and its power to convey emotions and messages effectively. Provide examples of climate change-related stories or poems to inspire participants and spark their creativity. Encourage participants to reflect on their own experiences, observations, or feelings related to climate change and how they can be transformed into stories or poems. Allow participants time to write and practice their stories or poems. Organize a storytelling or poetry slam event where participants can perform and share their work. Create a supportive and encouraging atmosphere during the event, allowing participants to express themselves and engage with the audience. Another kind of activity to foster communication skills can be a public speaking or speech contest. We can host a public speaking or speech contest focused on climate change, where participants have to prepare and deliver persuasive speeches or presentations to advocate for specific actions or policies. This activity helps develop effective communication skills, research abilities, and the ability to present ideas in a compelling manner. Instructions. Determine the objective of the public speaking or speech contest, such as advocating for specific climate change actions or policies. Provide participants with guidelines and criteria for the speech, including time limits, content requirements, and evaluation criteria. Offer resources and research materials to help participants gather information and develop strong arguments. Allow participants time to write and rehearse their speeches, emphasizing effective communication techniques such as storytelling, statistics, or personal anecdotes. Organize the public speaking or speech contest, providing a platform for participants to deliver their speeches. Arrange for a panel of judges to evaluate the speeches, based on the established criteria, and provide constructive feedback to participants. Likewise, we can engage young people in creating and managing a social media campaign focused on climate change awareness. Participants can develop content, such as videos, graphics, or posts, and use various social media platforms to share information, raise awareness, and encourage action. This activity fosters digital communication skills, creativity, and the ability to reach a wider audience. Instructions. Select a specific climate change topic or message for the campaign, such as reducing plastic waste or promoting renewable energy. Form a group of participants who will collaborate on the campaign, assigning roles and responsibilities. Brainstorm and develop content ideas, including videos, graphics, captions, or articles that convey the campaign message effectively. Create social media accounts or utilize existing accounts to share the campaign content. Establish a posting schedule to ensure consistent and regular content updates throughout the campaign. Engage with the audience by responding to comments, sharing relevant articles or resources, and encouraging them to take action or spread the campaign message. External resources and materials with interactive links. Here are some further external resources and materials that may be helpful for those interested in addressing the psychological impacts of climate change trauma and self-care. Eco-anxiety, solastalgia, and fear of climate change, tips for overcoming eco-anxiety. Diagnosing climate trauma, mental ill health caused by the physical impacts of climate chaos and how to address it. Eco-anxiety, how to cope at a time of climate crisis, ways to cope with your eco-anxiety and channel it into action for the planet. Explained, how climate change affects mental health. This article addresses environmental and psychological challenges, including climate change-related trauma. How to heal in the Anthropocene. This website provides information and resources on the psychological impacts of climate change, and trauma-informed approaches to addressing them. Reflecting on climate change and ecological grief, a mini lesson to help young people reflect on their emotional reactions to climate change, their connection to the natural world and the power of collective action. How do we support youth in stepping up rather than shutting down? A brief review of strategies and resources for processing climate change-related emotions, inspiring action together and hope for the future. The best meditation apps for beginners, 5 guided meditation apps to get started on the path of stress-free living. The National Sleep Foundation has more tips and resources on improving sleep. The Mental Health Foundation has more tips for managing media consumption. Global Trauma Project, building capacity for healing, empowerment and transformation. Here are a few external resources with interactive links that may be helpful for earth care, volunteering, developing interests and motivation, and boost self-esteem. 525+ group games and activities, group activities to develop mindfulness skills and connect with others. The ultimate list of creative hobbies for adults, creative activities that tend to be popular among both men and women, from different art mediums, DIY crafts, stationery hobbies, industrial hobbies, digital hobbies, outdoor hobbies, and so much more. Reports and multimedia and activist resources. The Union of Concerned Scientists offer many resources, including podcasts, infographics, etc. How Art in Nature Heals, a glimpse into eco-art therapy, discovering art intentional healing in the outdoors. How to start a community composting project, some tips for getting started. How to share, 300 guides to help your community thrive, 300 guides that can help you save money, reduce waste and build community through sharing. Do-it-yourself cleanup toolkit, want to start your own cleanup? Get started here. Climate change volunteering opportunities around the world. Open opportunities. List of interest-based organizations that need volunteers and support to lend a hand altogether to push things forward. Here are some additional examples and resources for earth care activities in Europe. Volunteer programs in NABU, the German platform, where one can find opportunities to help with conservation efforts and learn more about nature at local and global level. 13 top environmental organizations in Europe. Are you looking for some active environmental organizations in Europe? Well, this list has that covered just for you. European Environment Agency. This agency has a number of resources on environmental issues in Europe, including information on climate change, nature conservation and sustainable living. Friends of the Earth Europe. This organization works on a variety of environmental issues in Europe, including climate change, pollution, and deforestation. They have a number of resources and opportunities for individuals to get involved and make a difference. Greenpeace. This organization has a number of campaigns and initiatives focused on protecting the environment in Europe, including efforts to combat climate change and protect oceans. They have information on how to get involved in them. Society for the Protection of Birds. From starting or joining a local group, fundraising and volunteering, to taking part in the Big Garden Birdwatch or Give Nature a Home, you can be a part of saving nature. Here are a few external resources with interactive links that may be helpful for effective communication about climate change, including tips on how to engage with others on the issue. Communication, a guide to talking about climate change. We can't fix a problem if we can't talk about it. We can help change that. So how do we talk about it? 20 public speaking games and activities. Here are 20 ways you can get yourself comfortable with standing up in front of an audience and raising awareness about climate change. 5 fun speech games to build skills and confidence, games to develop speech fluency and confidence through fun. 15 fun public speaking activities. These exercises will give anyone enough practice to turn them into a good or great public speaker. Youth Empowerment Program activities. Activities to encourage young people to take control of their own lives and create positive changes in their communities.